How's it, everybody? We are here with the amazing Rosalie, who wrote A Tale of Wild Geese.
And a
Fantastic book.
But we're not
I
talking
loved
about
it.
that today.
Shameless plug. Buy it. Read it. It's good.
Very good.
A
And it will make you cry.
very good book. I have known Rosa for many years. We have been friends-ish. for a while. And I have been with Rosa kind of through the journey of her writing a book. And I have been so blessed to see her grow and become the person she was meant to be.
Where do I stick my head in?
Right there. While we are here for our exciting new adventure, we thought we'd have a chat about her book, tell you guys about it, and yeah, like I said, shameless plug.
And then Jen on my other side isn't innocent either.
Yeah, and then
she edited it.
Yes, Genevieve was the editor for A Tale of Wild Geese. Also a fantastic person, and I love her to bits.
And an author.
And an author of
Contemporary Cowboy Romance.
Shameless plug. Not quite meant to be. Please buy it.
You're gonna need a t-shirt that says Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. This video is sponsored by them. So we're gonna just have a chat about A Tale of Wild Geese today. I love this book. The romance was fantastic.
And you don't like romance.
And I'm not a romance reader. Like I said earlier, what I loved about it was the romance was entwined in the story in a way that it was the focal point, but there was enough around it that me as a non-romance reader still found it incredible. What did you think about it, Jen?
I am a sucker for romance, and I love books set in World War II, so this was absolutely my cup of tea. I read the initial draft.
The embarrassing one that I wrote at 16.
At 16, yes. And I
Cringe AF.
Well, this is a story. You've got to rewrite it. And she listened to me, more than she's listening to me as her editor, but she listened to me back then. And I just absolutely loved it. Johnny Riley is obviously my favorite, but it's the Irish accent. I am biased.
And you're a bit of an accent slut.
I am, because occasionally Danny says something and I'm like, you know what? I've got room for a white shoes in my life.
And Danny's got the whole southern
thing the darling. No, I cannot. It is beautiful. And then, of course, there's the planes. And I did not know a whole lot about World War II planes before I read A Tale of Wild Geese. I know a lot more now, and I am now also practically obsessed with the Spitfire.
A wing louse.
A wing louse, yes, absolutely.
Yes. That was another thing. I also don't read historical fiction. I read high fantasy. So this was a first for me. All I know about World War II is what I learnt in high school and what my husband prattles on because he's a man. Just a man.
Could be any man.
So he would prattle on every now and again. He knows a lot more about it than I do. So it was a first for me, but I still really enjoyed it. I loved the characters. I loved the world. I loved just the growth of the characters from beginning to end. They really did. They grew on me.
Who was your favorite, Chezzy?
I'm a Danny girl.
A Danny girl?
I'm a Danny girl.
You'd like to be called Darlin.
I would love to be called Darlin.
You're saying Darlin wrong. You gotta do the Georgia accent, Darlin.
We know I don't do accent. The best I can do is Afrikaans, and that's only when I'm making fun of people.
Don't hurt me.
So I loved Danny and just his drive for... I don't know how to explain it. I'm terrible with words.
You're not.
He had also an aspiring author. Don't let it lie to you. Shameless plug. So, yeah, Danny for me, his passion for what was important was beautiful. I loved it. And how the passion shifted from Spitfires to L? Yes, exactly. From I'm here to protect these people to I am here for L. To protect her. She is the most important thing in my... I loved it.
I think one of the moments where Danny took over and started making his own choices was she wrote to him, she became a land girl and she fell in love with goats. And she wrote to him that she would like her own. And Danny wrote back, "How much do you need?" That was a defining moment for him.
It was a turning point for him and in who he was as a person. You know, where she became more important than anything else, and it was really cute.
And Jen, what's the thing with Johnny except the accent? What made him stand out for you?
I like the fact that Johnny is a bit of a wild child. Johnny is a wild goose. He says it himself. He goes where the wind blows. And I love that. It's a theme throughout this whole book. Finding your place in the world and going through the motions to find your place in the world. And I love that Johnny attaches to his people. Elle and Danny become his people. And he's got this beautiful bromance going on with Danny.
Yeah.
And his cousin Elle, who is not his cousin, but he tells everyone she is just, it's beautiful. Johnny is a poet, and he has a way of saying things. He doesn't know that he is one. But in a different time and a different life, Johnny could have been a bard and he could have told stories.
I do think he knows it. If you go into the second book, where he tells Louise he's cursed with a love for beautiful things, beautiful words.
And flowers.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more to Johnny than what we see in the first book.
It just strongly dislikes introspection.
Exactly.
He does not want to look into himself because...
Nobody does.
Well, I think what pulls me towards Danny, because I'm a Danny girl too, is the fact that he has so utterly made peace with himself, with his own brokenness, to the point that his acceptance of being broken has healed him. He's conscious of all his possible mistakes.
And yet, there's also something about Danny that constantly wonders why he is as lucky as he is, why he deserves Elle, why he accepts himself for who he is, but there's a... You just want to wrap him up in cotton wool and cuddle him.
Yeah, no, he is. You want to kind of pack him into your suitcase and take him home.
Just make sure no one's ever mean to him again, you know? Fight them.
It was something I read recently that made me think about something I don't think I consciously did. I read that a lot of people, okay, spoiler, upcoming, a lot of people hate the pregnancy trope. And they had a discussion about why. And the why made me think about Eleanor's journey, because the why was that pregnancy tropes in books tend to make the main character, the female protagonist, lose herself, and the story would be taken over by the pregnancy, and everything would be about that. And it made me think about Elle, and I thought, well, I do have a pregnancy in, but it defines Elle. It gives her the absolute courage not to survive for her baby, but to become the woman that she was meant to be. And she just goes for it. She finds her defiance, because she starts as this little, she describes herself as a little Victorian housewife, just good for looking pretty and entertaining, to finding this fierce place in the world that she's willing to fight for in her own gentle way.
Yeah. No, she needed it to become herself.
Building on that,
because she was so reliant on the people around her that she needed somebody to rely on her to
start fighting.
Yeah, to start fighting and be more.
Red lipstick for defiance. You wanted to say, Jen?
I think that Elle's finding of herself, Danny played a big role in that as well, because he never pressured her into being anything. He let her go her own way, find her wings, do what she needed to do. He didn't want her to merely be a Victorian housewife prospect. He wanted her to grow and to be who she needed to be. And I think that the pregnancy is the final piece of the puzzle, but it starts with his absolute acceptance of wherever she goes and whatever she does to find her identity.
Find your place in this world, darling.
Yes.
Find who you want to be.
And he's more than happy to build his dreams around hers. Because I think it's also a thing about the time period. Back then, women would fall in with their husbands and they would do whatever, they would help their husband achieve their dreams. And Danny had found who he was, but he wanted the same for Elle.
Yeah. It made him exceptional. I think that was the thing that made him exceptional. He was very much not a man of his time.
No, he was far ahead of his time, definitely.
And no one after him would compare to that. Whereas if she'd met a traditional man of the time first, she could have been content. She could have settled into that role, but he gave her the strength to... He gave her the
option as well. He gave her the option to be more.
Be more.
And I think she really needed that.
She did.
Another one of my favorite characters who does not get the spotlight very often is Christina. I love bubbly little Christina. She's also a land girl, and she has two goals in life. She wants to marry a rich man and she wants to be in his will, and then she no longer cares. Then she's happy.
She did want a lot of babies.
And that too.
Yeah.
And I love the bubbliness. And she also makes Elle a stronger woman because she is not a reserved little housewife. She does whatever she wants. She walks around in skirts and swings her hips and wears red lipstick. And I think Elle subconsciously learned a lot from Christina. And Christina, in return, took on some of Elle's gentleness and her way of looking at the world. So the friendship between them is also something that's very special for me.
Wow. I'm learning things.
Yeah.
Favorite quotes, because I've got some.
Oh.
Jen, you go.
Should have let you walk home, you Belfast drunk.
Yes.
I think my absolute favorite from my favorite bromance, the goodbye scene between Johnny and Danny.
We're not making me cry today, are we?
No, we're going with the funny.
Oh.
Well, we can go to the sad too, because that freaking broke me.
And me too. 5 o'clock in the morning.
The leaving, the coming to say goodbye to his brother in all but blood. And Johnny tells him, come back with some kids and name one after me.
No, you have to do it with the accent.
And Danny replies, well, I can't call the child Irish fucker. That would be just wrong. And then there's that absolute bloody heart-rending Godspeed, brother.
Broke me. One of the moments that broke me. There were several, but that one.
There was so much crying in the writing of this book. Chez, you've got to have a favorite quote.
Genevieve stole mine. And I can't think of another one right now, but Genevieve stole mine.
There's an entire scene that has my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is the point that the whole book was pointed towards. The chapter's name is Goat Girl, and it's just before the end. And it makes no sense if you haven't read it, but hello then, cause.
Yes.
That whole scene, the standing in the Perrow dust with the hundreds of
so
Angora
beautiful.
goats, and the anticipation of she's going to turn around, she's going to see him, and everything will change.
You're giving me goosebumps stuff.
Even me.
A Tale of Wild Goosebumps.
A Tale of Wild Goosebumps.
So I'm running out of time on my phone. A Tale of Wild Geese is currently on a Kindle Countdown special, and you can buy the Kindle version for 99 American cents. And it's also free to read on Kindle Unlimited. Come on the ride with us.
Please do.
Please do read it. Your life will never be the same again.
Thank you, girls. This has
Join
been
us in the tism.
To the tism drain. Slut shade.
Slut shade.